Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and we're in Arizona, and it's the middle of July, and temperatures typically, and I guess I could say normally, get up over 100 degrees during July, and we're planning on doing some, I'm planning on doing some filming outside when they're working on the shop, my son's shop, on his roof, and the roof that is attached to it that he built for me and my sweetheart to live in. And so they're going to be doing some roof work, and I want to be able to capture some of it with my drone. And so I'm just running a test here and see how long I can fly and not destroy the battery. Actually, you can get up to 60 degrees centigrade with a lithium-ion battery, and that's what I've got in the Mini 2, because the old Mini batteries will also fit in there. So it's a little more rugged physically than the LiPo battery. And so I'm just going to watch the temperature go up, and when it gets up to where I think I'm probably got enough time in, then I'll go ahead and land. I just don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it get above 50 degrees centigrade. So we'll just fly around here. While I do, I'll tell another story. I've been telling stories of my life. I'm 80 years old, and so I'm just sharing some of my experiences. And so when I've gotten to the point where I moved to Pasco, Washington, and became a school teacher at Pasco High School, teaching electronics and metal shop and drafting. And of course, when I first started teaching, I didn't know I was going to be teaching electronics. But after my second year, they said, you're going to teach electronics. So real quick, I went to summer school and learned electronics, and I found out that I loved electronics. So I ended up getting my amateur radio license, and then eventually got my commercial broadcast license. But when I studied for my ham radio license, you had to learn Morse code, and then you had to know the rules and stuff. So I bought a book on the rules, but I learned Morse code the hard way just by listening to the radio and listening to Morse code and sometimes picking up a letter or two. So it took me a long time to learn Morse code. Once I got my ham license and got on the air, I found out that there was a club. I didn't know there was any ham radio clubs. And so I could have gone there and taken a class and learned Morse code much faster. So anyway, I found out about the club, and so I decided I'd see what it was like. And so and you notice the temperature's slowly going up over there in the corner, 37 degrees centigrade. So anyway, I joined the club, and I think they had Tuesday night meetings every week. And so then as I went and got to know the guys, they found out I was an electronics teacher, and so then they asked me if I could teach the theory, electronics theory, and CW, or continuous wave, which is Morse code. And so I said, sure, I do that, no problem, glad to help. And so I became, I became an instructor for the ham club, and I taught a lot of people theory and explained how it works and stuff, how electronics works. And then also I had classes teaching Morse code. And I think I've told before, my first transmitter, I couldn't just go out and buy one. I had my dad had an old transmitter from a B-17 Second World War plane, and if I went in and removed some turns from a coil, then it would be on the right frequency for amateur radio. 40 meters, as a matter of fact. And so I did that, and then eventually I didn't have enough money when I got my license to speak over a microphone. I didn't have enough money to go buy me a new radio. So I found one for $160 that didn't work, and so I figured out what was wrong with it and got it working. So those were my instruments. Well, in the process of teaching, I also had to every once in a while go to one of my students' houses, especially after they got their license, and help them set up their station or troubleshoot any problems they had. Well, there was this really nice guy. His name was Norm, and he had a son named Dave, and they both took the class I was teaching at the same time. And so, he was very wealthy. I won't say what he did because it's none of our business. But anyway, he made a lot of money. So I went over to his house, and down in the he had a nice house, by the way. And down in the basement of his house was his room he called his ham shack. Was nothing like a shack. But anyway, so he had set up all this equipment, and I mean, he had expensive transmitters and receivers, and he bought a commercial built antenna, and I can't remember if it was a tower antenna, but anyway, he had all the money he wanted to spend for him and his son. And by the way, here I'm getting close to the end of the flight, so I'm watching the voltage and the temperature at the same time. So anyway, I went over there, and he had hooked everything up, but it didn't work. So I pulled his unit. I think it was I don't remember, probably a transceiver, which is a transmitter and receiver. Pulled it away from the wall, turned it around, and being new at it, he didn't know that he was supposed to bend some lugs up so they didn't touch the lugs next to him. And that was all he did wrong. So we unscrewed them and unscrewed the screws and loosened them, bent the lugs up so they weren't touching each other, and then tested it out, and it worked fine. So it was nice having students that could talk to you on the radio too. And his son Dave, for years, or not years, but for several years, he would contact me when he heard me on the air. So that was kind of, and I had several experiences like that. I also had some experiences where I went to somebody that their living quarters were in the basement, and they didn't have any money, and they had put things together, and I helped them too. But it was kind of a rewarding thing. You meet some really nice people on amateur radio. Well, you did back then. Times have changed since then, so let me warn you. It's not like it used to be. You used to not be able to use any foul language or anything like that when you're on the air. So anyway, it's looking like my temperature is getting up high enough that I'm probably going to have to go ahead and bring it in. And you can see I was able to fly for 8 minutes, and well, actually it'll end up being 9 minutes. So if I go out to film the roofing on a day when it's over 100 degrees, I can fly for just probably just under 10 minutes, and I'll be okay. So I want to thank you for watching the videos, and God bless.